The most expensive mistake a business can make in marketing is skipping strategy and going straight to lead generation.
And from the sales side, when that happens, sales teams end up chasing anything that moves, which they're likely to do anyway.
And that's when businesses start spending more money in marketing but getting worse results. Hey everyone, welcome to another video by me, Chris, a marketing guy.
And me, Vic, the sales guy.
And today we're going to talk about chasing lead generation and the whole concept of, I hear so many business owners, I've spent money on Facebook, on pay-per-click. I've paid for sending out flyers to people. I've spent all this money and I'm running ads and I'm posting on social media and I'm hiring somebody from SEO, but I'm not even getting the right leads for the sales team. And why is that? And the reason isn't you're not going after the right tactic in the sense of Facebook ads or meta ads, whatever the case might be. It's because you've never built a strategy of who that ideal client is. And Vic and I, we've talked about this so many times. And the strategy begins with the who. It's
always the who. You know, from sales, in addition to what you said, and it's often salespeople blaming marketing, right? Or blaming, their social media posts for grabbing the wrong things. But I also hear this. I've been talking to so many people. I've been networking so much. I've been pounding the pavement. Not so much that anymore, but don't forget, people, you can still go to people where they're at. But anyway, but the fact is, if you're going to run yourself ragged on either side of the spectrum, either posting on social media or spending energy, putting together events and filling the room then with the wrong people, then how can you be surprised when you go door to door or you call the phone book, it's not a thing anymore, but in alphabetical order, that you didn't get the results you want? Because again, we're talking about what we recently reframed, Chris, not as that boring ideal client profile, but how about that just good enough client profile? Because they already want and need what I have to offer. Because we don't convince people of anything, right, Chris?
No, that's not our jobs. If they don't have the pain that we're here to solve, we can't create it for them. And we don't want to create it for them because that's not our job. Our job is to help the people that we can help.
But Chris,
sell to the people that we can actually help.
Yes.
Right?
But everybody can be a potential client, and everyone eventually needs and everyone, right? How do we respond to this?
These everyone people drive me crazy. Because if you think about it, not everyone goes to McDonald's. Not everyone goes to the Marble Room. But they both serve food. And everyone needs to eat, but they're not for everyone. So unfortunately, get this everything out of your mind because that's not true.
I like that you brought up McDonald's. So we talked recently about doing more, but it should be more same and not more different. So McDonald's billboard, imagine that. It's usually going to show some configuration of a burger, a fry, and a drink, right? And probably Coca-Cola because of co-marketing, and now I'm just making things complicated. Back to the subject but it's more of the same. And, salespeople like me look at those and go, marketing, how's that going to do anything? It's not telling anybody anything, but it's a great example of doing the same thing and really refining that message because not everyone eats McDonald's, but heck, there's that time when you have 10 minutes to eat and the Marble Room can't accommodate you. You're eating something at McDonald's. So I'm onto something here, right? That is the beauty of why these places that are ubiquitous continue to do marketing. Am I right?
Yes. And ultimately, your marketing, you gotta figure out who that ideal client is. You gotta be clear about it and figure out why they need your product or service.
And it's not anyone. It's not everyone all the time. It's someone some of the time, right?
Yes, and you got to speak directly to that prospect or ideal client and say, this is what we can do. And you have to educate them. You got to inspire them. You got to get them to actually see you. And that's the hard part because it takes 20 to 30 touches, they say these days, before people actually start engaging in your content at the next level, that's where we're trying to get to, is the sales level of conversations. So you need to be in front of them on a consistent basis. And instead of just trying to attract everybody, you need to attract the right people. And let's talk about on the sales side. Marketing, we put you in a bad situation. We attract anybody. Now you set up. Now you're like, holy cow, I got 10 sales calls today. But is quantity the mission for sales calls, or is quality the mission for sales calls?
It's not. I mean, you made me cringe, and I think all the people from the sales side did. 10 appointments in a day is not a good thing, because if you're a newbie or a rookie, or I guess there are exceptions to every rule, you're selling knives door to door and you have 10 people who open the door, right? Then, that's a different, we're back to the funnel, because you're trying to get to a certain step of an open door, and you got it. So let's just say, though, that it's here's what it's not. And, as pattern seekers, Chris, which is what we're looking for and trying to educate people on, look at the extremes. The wins that were slam dunks, and the losses that were stinky wastes of time and probably really unpleasant for both parties. Okay? So there's the good and the really bad. And getting 10 meetings, right? The simple answer we all know. I'd rather have one meeting a week than 10 bad ones a day. And some people will go, well, give me 3 a day and I'll hedge my bets. But you're still putting it in the hands of fate. So the pattern of the slam dunks are that they dropped like a lead weight through the sales funnel, Chris. But I'm not taking away what you said. It may have taken 20 times for them to be exposed to you and that awareness to have grown, right? To reach the point of that meeting. But here's what they say. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for being persistent. And what they're really saying is the time wasn't right, but it is now. So we're back to that timing beast that you can't control. And that's the why, right? Chris, why, as my paid digital marketing strategist, are we posting all this stuff? Because we know exactly, I'm going to speak for you, we know exactly who wants and needs this. But we can't control that creature, the timing. And when they do, they're going to say, promise me, they're going to say this to you, is, thank you for your persistence. I kept seeing your posts online. Yeah, I kept getting your newsletter, right? I'll hand it off to you. I think I'm repeating myself, but
no, this is great. I think that sales, are you guys, let's go with I don't know anything. Are you expected to close so many calls?
In sales, you're asking me that question? We all have.
If I'm a sales manager, am I expecting to close so many calls?
In a way, we I don't know if I'm going to mess up your question by not being in tune, but ultimately we all are working backwards from our revenue goals, right?
Yes.
And the needs of the business. And maybe the first level goal is just to break even, not lose money. And then maybe it's to thrive. And to buy that shiny new object that we saw in the catalog, whatever, online. But okay, you work backwards. So yeah, there is a finite number. And if anybody listening to this, watching, doesn't know what they need, I know I need a certain type of client every 2.5 weeks. That's a refined number that I need to land. So back to your question. Does that mean when you work upstream in your funnel, how many meetings will it take? And I have historical data. If I'm on target, if I'm on point. So if I start going to quantity, the numbers don't mean anything. But I know that if I do enough of my lead generation activity, my marketing activity, social media posts, etc., and touch that, then odds are, based on the historical data, it's going to result in this many appointments that I'm going to have to take effort at. And then, so I know that was long-winded, but did I answer your question at all? Throw it back at me if not.
100%. So me being your teammate, I need to set you up to succeed more often.
Yes.
I, in the marketing, want the sales team to have the highest close rates possible. That's what I need to justify that the marketing material is worthwhile. My number that qualifies me as doing a good job is not the number of meetings that Vic and his team make. That number is irrelevant. At the end of the day, if I give them 100 meetings in a month and they close 10%, that's atrocious. That is a waste of company time of 90 meetings that they shouldn't be doing. I, in the marketing, is ruining the efficiency of the company by not setting up sales to succeed. And that's the only purpose that we have. We don't care how many people open up the newsletter. We don't care how many people watch the videos. We don't care about how many people do anything. We care how many people call the call to action to lead into that sales conversation that the sales team, if they're skilled, can close.
I love it. Let's go out of our heads like I like to do with my client sessions. I'll say, let's look at something else unrelated to what we're talking about right now. And I think of two examples, the stock market and the valuation of a business. Now, I'm no expert in either. So there's going to be a little flaw in what I say, but I think everyone will agree with the gist of it. It's this. What's more valuable, and the stock market shows this, is it profit margin or is it revenue? And we see it time and time again. We know the answer. It's margin. That's why, I'm not saying it's a good strategy, but companies often cut overhead, right? Because they're all about margin. Now, I'm not saying I agree with that. In fact, I'll say I don't. But the fact is, they're not wrong. It's the profit margin. Now, it connects right into the valuation of a business. You have a business that does $1.5 million in revenue a year that you want to sell, and your profit margin is 20%. Or a similar business, almost the same, does $1 million with 30% profit margin. Now, you don't need to go to the bottom line. You just look at that metric and go, wow, something is going good at the 30% profit margin. So again, people don't send me angry emails correcting my math. The gist of it is true, because this is what we see all the time. So back to close ratios. That's it. A good salesperson knocks it out of the park every time, or whatever the closest you can get to that is. And yeah, they're going to start, they shouldn't point fingers, but they should collaborate with marketing and say, hey, you messed up my close ratio. Or perhaps I did. But what's going on? How can we make it better? My last 5 appointments, they just weren't on target at all. And by the way, I'll give you the answer from the sales side. Maybe we need an additional step in your funnel where you're checking the checkers. Make a phone call before you drive across town and say, hey, I just want to clarify our agenda for today. They go, yeah. And they say something that's completely out of left field. Catch that now and then go educate marketing. All right, I'll stop ranting, but...
No, this is good. I think that at the end here, ultimately, I think Vic and I agree. I'm not speaking for Vic, but I think I'll agree on this. We need to be teammates.
Yes.
Marketing and sales need to work together. And if you own a business and you feel as though marketing and sales aren't in the same room, having the conversations, talking about things, and actually building off of each other, then you need to actually think about that, because they're on the same team and their goals are supposed to be the same.
That's it. And you know, if you don't have a marketing team or a sales team because you're both, then who's your trusted advisor? And I'm not saying hire one of us, certainly an option, but who's that person that does have the better profit margin than you? Maybe their sales are lower, but they're doing something different. Go buy them a coffee and pick their brain and then offer them something that you can do for them. That's how you learn and grow, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Happy selling.
Happy selling.